another Friday, another live stream. First one off YouTube, first one off my phone. Hopefully we don't have any call interruptions now. I don't know how this works. I don't know how it's gonna look. I don't know how long it was actually live for because I don't think it's been live for 30 seconds like it says it's been. But you know, whatever. Let me see. Live chat. I want live chat. Okay, I'm trying to get this stuff figured out for you. No one is here. Bummer. Bummer, bummer, bummer. But I don't know if it sends out notifications. I hope it does. Matt just stole my car. I'm gonna let some people filter in. Matt stealing my whip. If anyone has a PPK front driver, and rear right, let me know because someone hit that one and I got a little rust spot over yonder. You're good, old boy. Look at that beautiful car. Anyway, we got one person in here. Oh my God, our first YouTube live stream viewer, and I feel like it's Jeremy. This is kind of a weird one because normally I'm able to invite people, but I can't now. So, whatever, I guess we'll just get into it because you hate me so much. Just kidding. This one's for those who watch it later. So, things we have done, things that are going on. So we got this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful SRT8. This is a one-owner car. He has had this since new. So it's got a 426 in it. And you'd be hard to tell, but this thing actually does have nitrous. This is a nitrous setup. So we fixed some wiring, installed a new nitrous plate right yonder. And it's not like down, obviously. We just have it like this for testing, just in case we got to go back in for anything. Always nice to have nitrous pressure gauge, and then bottle heater, automatic opener, all that good stuff. That way this gentleman doesn't have to worry about nothing. He can handle it all from his right side. Just push those buttons and make it happen. So nice little setup there. Sorry about the shaking. I'm just trying to adjust my my mounty mount. Someone says message retracted. I don't know what that means, but we got the little 426 Kong setup. This one also nitrous. We got a lot of nitrous setup in this jabroni. So this is that 426 with the Kong 2650 nitrous express plate, or not plate, lid, looking pretty. You do have to trim a little bit out of the the strut bar, but you're able to work with the existing holes to kind of give it a nice clean look there. And then you're able to see over there as well. You just want to notch it out. You don't got to go crazy. You don't got to cut a whole bit. If you use a drill, you can get a nice round edge to it. I got a new phone. My camera actually works. I can't tell you guys how excited I am. My camera has not worked in so long. So I'm going to be abusing the fact that I can zoom and it will focus. We got our purge over here. Comes out of the vent. Real steezy-like. You know, you got nitrous. Half the point of it is to flex. So we're just going through, doing a little bit of wiring now. We're, initially it had a on-off style window switch. And this one was running a 200 shot. So it was either you're making 200 extra or you're not making any. Obviously not the best for traction or really anything like that. So going to a progressive one so it adds over time. This was nice little touch. It's kind of like the one in that Challenger, but instead for a Charger. So it keeps it hidden. If you just glance into a cockpit, you're really not going to see that unless you're looking for it. I mean, it's not like a secret that the car's fast as I'm sitting next to a parachute handle saying this stuff. Not the biggest sleeper, but still kind of nice to hide it for those of you that like flying under the radar. Good to have on that. Let's see what else we got going on. We got word trans is ready to come back for that, so hopefully soon now we'll have that. And then also some little fun factorino, things you don't think about. This car, at one point, the heads and the block were milled, which means that now the head, instead of sitting like this, sits like this. It moves the intake holes in. So now we have to clearance the intake for it. We just have to kind of wallow out the hole a bit, but we want to go slowly as it's easy. You can take metal off. It's a little bit harder to put it back on. Yeah, you can weld it and all that, but ideally you don't want to do that. So we also have this C5 in. This one had some rattling from the supercharger belt tensioners. You can't see them, they're up in there, but believe me, I'm telling you that they're there. You can see there's one over. So yeah, supercharger belt tensioners, those were rattling up a storm. And then we noticed some sketchy things. He bought this car modified, was not aware. That is a fuel pump. And you can see, that is the exhaust, fellas. Yeah, not the greatest positioning for it. They're better places than like on top of the exhaust. So, you know, we're gonna go through, we're able to catch that, notify the customer. Customer wants it fixed right naturally. So we're gonna go through and do that. New fittings, new lines, new mounts, doing it right, doing it how it should have been. So we also got ourselves this beautiful, gorgeous honey baby darling 392 Challenger. This one's coming in for a level 4. Customer said they heard a bit of a tick, and obviously we want to make sure we get to that immediately before it causes any damage, so we will. This is what do you call it, a very cool interior car. This thing's sexy. I want to say this is a 2012, but yeah, she's a pretty girl. So some of the stock parts just held in the trunk for the time being. But that is that one. This is a 426 being built for boost. This is going to be a road course setup. This car is a track car, but not in the straight line sense. So if you can see, hubba, it's got all the good bits. So this thing's built for boost. It's gonna go home NA this time around. Customer just wants to get the motor and start getting some of the base stuff set up for it. That way when the time does come, he's able to go on it. It's just, for now, it's just gonna be an NA setup. So it's not gonna make an NA 426 worth of horsepower, as it's not an NA spec 426. So just something to keep in mind. Here's the old Motorino that we took out of Reno. Little BGE. What do you guys think? Should I try and buy this one, get myself a third motor? I don't even have a use for it, but by golly, I kind of could use me a third motor. So that's about all we got going out here. Of course, we've been doing some detailing. Matt always working hard, hustling. Nothing crazy. We got street tuning. There's dear old CJ. Say hi, CJ. Look at him. Oh, he's so happy and chipper in there. What a guy. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom out. I'm still getting used to this, guys. Please forgive me. I'm not well versed in the YouTube landia. Should I go bother Joe and Ao? Nah, I choose life. So, let's take a seat with the head honcho. Oh my God, hold on. No. We're going super meta.
Oh, that's gonna freak things out there.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I'm so used to tagging people, sending invites and whatnot.
I know. It's a little different.
And now I can't. We only got 9 views.
I don't know how to tell. This is so new. Yes, this.
No description's been added. I don't know if that screwed us. If I was supposed to add some description.
It's a lot quicker though.
Yeah, and the quality, like streaming looks way better.
Yeah,
this
so
is the future.
We'll see if it's the future. We'll see.
I'm calling it now. I almost spilled my coffee and I would have lost it.
Yeah, we're noticing the live quality is better, so we'll see if that translates over once it's not live. That was one of the issues for those wondering why we're, going to YouTube again. So back when we started this, we tried YouTube. And we switched over to Facebook because that's where more of our followers are at. And then, oh, this t-shirt? This is one from Blake. It says streetcar backwards. But we switched from YouTube originally over to Facebook because that's where more of our followers are at. So we thought it'd be easier. And they did keep our live vlogs over there in its own folder automatically, so it was nice. Well, fast forward to this year, we found out a little late that they are actually deleting our live vlogs off of there. So after 30 days, they disappear. Somebody asked us to reference a live we did in the past, and I went to share the link, and lo and behold, it was gone. So,
bummer.
What are you doing over there?
I'm just
yeah.
hitting
So,
boxes.
so that's kind of important. There's a lot of information here, and we don't mind repeating ourselves, but in the same token, it is nice to be able to reference. So, example, we did. We tried with our most recent vlog that we did with the shop car about setting the record. We went ahead and saved it and transferred it over to YouTube. We've been doing that for a little bit for some of the videos when we could, but when we noticed they were starting to delete, the problem is the quality both on Facebook when it was over and then transferring to YouTube was just subpar. So, you know, we thought, all right, we're going to give it a shot and go back to YouTube. So it'll be a little transition for those that are able to, you know, chime in while we are live. I know it's midday and people are working and things like that, but this will better allow us to just document those and keep them there for long term. So it might not have as many people interacting live like we did on Facebook, but it should be easier for those that want to reference them at a later time. So
I mean, we're at 10 now.
Yeah.
That's about half
Right.
to a quarter what we normally do, so it's not bad. We'll get there. But
yeah, so
I'm liking the quality.
yeah,
I'm not liking the
quality
tilty.
so far. Yeah, now it's just a little better. So so yeah, that's what we're doing here.
Can you
So
hear us?
I can, yeah. I
Okay.
can turn it up if we need to, but yeah.
You can make like an echo box.
I could make an echo box. We could have a lot of fun with it.
We should give you
So,
guys an echo box for
should.
being naughty.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's what y'all get.
yeah, so that's pretty much how it is. You know, so if you follow on, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, it will send a notification. Actually, not only sends it via, if you have the app, but it sends an email as well. We will continue to tag everybody like we used to allow, you know, the reminders, and hopefully the transition will be easy. We are looking, oh, that's cool how it pops up on there.
They have a filter
Oh,
that
yeah.
gets rid of his freckles. It
Yeah.
de-gingers him.
It de-gingers me.
It takes out the soul.
It was kind of weird. It gets rid of my freckles and like changes the tint of this. It's very strange. There's a lot of additional things we can do on YouTube Live as well.
YouTube is ginger-phobic.
Yeah, we are going to work on like simultaneously streaming on multiple platforms. So we will try that out eventually. Right now, the internet here is, as you guys know, we're limited on it. So we're going to just take baby steps with it right now and see how it works, right? So I'll put that there so we can see the questions. So
Absolutely.
at least I know those work.
Yup.
And so, but yeah, a lot going on. Man, you keep pumping me off of the screen.
Sorry. Just gonna turn it.
No, see, now we're just all over the place.
Who knows?
Yeah. But, so we'll see how it goes. We're going to try this out maybe a couple weeks, see if we can, you know, get better with the filters and everything. We're up over into 11 now, 11 viewers. So, welcome to our first, for the record, you know what? We anticipated it.
Yeah.
So, what Ryan's talking about, for those that might not have seen, but we set the record for stock bottom end 392 being naturally aspirated. So I don't consider it a micro record. It's basically we just took a stock engine, naturally aspirated, changed more of the top end, and then chased the record. So it's been a record that's been in place for a long time. We also aren't competing with people that swap them, because we could throw this motor in a Fox body and destroy the record. Want to help?
Me?
Yeah.
Hey, boss.
So
How's it going?
yeah, we anticipated it to be
What can I do for you?
a lot of that, a lot of negative attention with the positive. You know what I mean? We knew the LS guys were going to come out of the woodworks. We knew that was going to happen, and it's just part of it. You know, as I say, haters mean you're doing your job right. Well, what's funny about it, my wife pokes fun because I put so much attention into it. I'll just be real on it. We're monetized on Facebook. So the more interactions that happen on there, the more they actually give us money. So when it comes down to my educated responses to those people out there, it just helps to generate more revenue for us. So one, it's great to correct those and the mindsets of what they think is right from wrong or what's possible, what's not. But at the same time, it piggybacks and it does put money into the bank account. So it's a win-win for me, in regards to that. But I do like to try to help and educate where we can, right? I mean, this is one of those of anybody in the Hemi community, anybody in the Hemi community kind of knows what that accomplishment was, right? And well, I'm not comparing to different manufacturers in any way, shape, or form. There's a reason they're different. Everybody has their pros and cons, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're just focused on improving the community that we're involved in more, right? So yeah, we're the fastest stock bottom end 392. Yes, it was an HP 70 transmission in her. So it's a very simple setup. And what's cool about that car, our shop car, is we do have it duplicated with Chris Mitchell for those that have seen. I know he's traveling a little bit, so he's not able to partake in this one. But our cars are literally twins. I actually took a lot of what we learned on his and then put it into our own car. So I copied his wheels, I copied his tire setup. Our form of weight reduction is very much the same. He learned a lot from ours as well of things that we implemented, so it's been kind of cool. And I'm 100,000,000% confident that if Chris Mitchell goes to the track with the same type of conditions we had, he's going to run the same times and maybe even faster. His suspension being stock makes it easier because our aftermarket suspension requires it to be dialed in, where the stock suspension's kind of locked in the way it is. So once we dial this in, I know our 60-foot's going to be superior, but it's going to be a 1040 car in the same type of DA, again, if not faster. And he's doing that with a little bit more weight than us too. So his car went 1070s with over 2,000 DA, and he stripped out almost 300 pounds since then. So a 1070 goes to a 1040 just by the weight alone, and we did improve the tuning on it and some shift schedule stuff as well. So he's making more power than when he did that. So yeah, the hate's fun, man. I don't take it personal in any way, shape, or form.
So run a stock HP 70 on the NA Charger. Yeah, it's still got that 70 in there.
Yeah. We went over that. Still the stock HP 70
Just
in
the
there.
Converter.
So it's one of those. It's a very capable transmission. We've had this transmission in boosted applications run 9. So and that, like it said, boosted applications. So there's no reason why we can't keep this trans alive for this whole period. So.
How long till we see some 6-cylinder action? I'm keen to see what the platform can achieve. Are you talking the Pentastar or the Hurricane? Because the Pentastar, it's limited. I mean, they don't even have like aftermarket cams for it. So there's.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Hurricane. Good news on that. So good leeway in. We did finally get confirmation on our order for our Charger 6-pack. On October 8th, the order was finally accepted, and we have a VIN number for our Charger. For the Borginator, that's right, we're going to have people's YouTube names and stuff like that.
Dude, I'm excited
that's
now.
Fun.
Yeah.
So, we have a ton of testing done on our RHO that we had at the beginning of the year. There's no actual tuning support available for that from a stock ECU standpoint. So I have tuned one with a Motec, and we made well over 800 wheel horsepower on pump gas, stock turbo, stock fuel system, everything. So I'm very excited about it as well. Now, I can tell you that the rumor mill is saying that the future Hurricane setups will possibly be running a GPEG 5 computer. Why that's important is because HP Tuners has unlocked the capability to tune a GPEG 5. That's in the newer Rams before the Hurricane came out, the Wranglers and things like that. So we have access to that computer. The new Bosch computer, that is what has been currently being run on the Hurricane setups, are not unlocked yet, and they are very difficult to get into.
Fort Knox over here.
Yeah, so very difficult. So that being said, hearing that there's a potential that the future platform is going to revert back to the GPEC 5, HP Tuners kind of said, hold on, before we expend too much time and money into trying to get into this computer that might be a limited run, we're going to wait to see what the future holds to see if it's necessary. So, little hiatus, so they put a kibosh on it for the time being to see what this charger platform has, right? Because again, another rumor mill is that they're going to be putting V8s back into this platform, so they're not going to use the Bosch PCM to do so. So it makes more sense if they make the current GPEC 5 compatible, where I know the GPEC 5 capabilities have the potential to where they could run the Hurricane. So that being said, right now you are going to be tapped out with the Hurricane purely from a JB4 or Cat 6 little plug and play piggyback, and then some weight reduction, right? So I know the influencers from Roadkill Nights, some of them are taking their cars to the racetrack and they're running bottom nines and even almost 8-second passes with the Hurricanes in the platforms they used, which were lighter in weight, but it just shows the power capability of those stock motors. A couple of them did turbo swaps, others are just stock, and they're still running mid to bottom nines. Purely off of the, they're making the same power around 800 wheel, on race gas. So it's one of those that we're excited for the platform as well. We can't wait for our charger to show up. Seeing as I've done this a few times on these cars, getting it in October, I'll probably have a build date somewhere in December, and because of how much they shut down at that time, it'll probably arrive around my birthday. That's kind of what happens with these reveal ones. I think I got my red eye around my birthday, and my, was it my first TRX around my birthday?
Wagoneer.
The Wagoneer. Yes, the
Mama Satera wants
new
a new
Wagoneer.
one.
So, we'll see. We're definitely interested and excited about it. And as soon as it comes in, we're diving right in. We have a ton of items planned from... if you didn't know, we've owned multiple Hurricane-equipped vehicles. We had a Wagoneer, a Grand Wagoneer that had the Hurricane, and then the RHO. So we have a lot of playing around with bolt-ons and measurements and things like that. So we are going to dive very quickly into the Charger platform when it comes out. That car will not be stocked for more than whatever miles are on it when I pick it up from the dealer. So
when we're done with it, I kind of want it.
That's fine. You can buy it. You can buy the shop car first before
No.
we get it. So,
Mike needs to get that. We got to scumbag him into getting that.
Yeah, right?
I mean, you can put the back seats back in that thing. Carry your fame around. Going back to the 392 discussion, so going back to the shop car and all that, Charlie F asks, with that in mind, can the 392 and the Durango platform be built similarly without compromising reliability?
If you're referencing to build it to make the power our shop car did, absolutely. They're the same exact motor. Transmission is the same in regards to capability. Naturally, obviously, it weighs more, so it's not going to be as fast. But
and a little more drivetrain loss, so you might not see the exact same number on the dyno with the same mods.
But in regards to for our shop car, again, for those that don't know, is a simple what we call level 4 package with the options of E85, a underdrive pulley, and a torque converter. I got something in my eye, it's burning. So we can do all of those on a Durango 392, and it won't sacrifice any type of reliability. So
if he gutted it, what do you think you can get the weight of one of those things down to?
I mean, the Trackhawk's it depends on the gutting, right? So
if it's like the shop car, like a reversible gut.
Yeah, I bet you it's in the 4s.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, look at the Trackhawks. So the record holder Trackhawks are 4,600 to 4,800 pounds.
Oh, yeah, so you can probably get 49.
Yeah, I would say in the 4,000s for sure if we gut it. And if you didn't check out the video that Tulo and I did in regards to the shop car, we did a little walk around on it. We kind of recapped everything that we did to it to achieve the 1040 that we did and the DA that we did. And one of the biggest pieces that we echoed through that was the majority of our weight savings and benefit from the weight savings came from rotating mass. So wheels, tires, brakes.
Yes.
So on a 392 platform, the wheels are bigger, the wheel tires are heavier, and the brakes are heavier. So if you're going for a max effort setup, there's a lot to be had if you did reduce the size of the wheels, change the tires from the run flats, and that does in itself amplify the performance dramatically. And that's why, piggybacking to the video of Chris Mitchell racing a boosted C6 Vet and then the Red Eye, is because majority of the weight that he reduced is rotating mass. I mean, several hundred pounds of rotating mass knocked out of that car is a massive, massive compound effect. So, you know, that's one of those where our shop car and the D8 we had with the 60-foot we had, if we threw the interior back in, it's still a 1070, 1080 car. You know, because the majority of the benefit came from the wheels, tires, and brakes. So it was kind of surprising to me not more people knew about the TCE front conversion, but I understand on big horsepower builds doing 15-inch conversions, they're afraid of getting rid of their big 6-piston Brembos up front. But the fact is, on an NA car, especially when you're stripping it down, they don't need those big brakes to stop. The 15-inch, the Woolworths we got on there brake amazingly, especially once we stripped all the weight out of it. So I would love for a max effort 392 Durango, you know what I mean, to go and take a record with it. That'd be outstanding. I'm pretty... you know, would it be cool to run 10s with it? In Glory Air, we probably could get a 1090 out of a Durango 392. But, you know, I really don't, it's going to be an 11-second car. But the truth is, think about it, Durango Hellcat runs 1150s, right? So if we can duplicate Durango Hellcat type of times or even bottom 11s, please, like, oh, we're done.
I'm chilling.
Our YouTube
guys,
stuff, right?
You got to hit the bell.
Oh, I got to bring my daughters up for this one.
100%.
Man. Listen, we got to do one so they can see we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, we can pull it up on YouTube Kids. Oh, no.
No, because we didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll because we can't monetize it.
Yeah, they'll freak out.
Listen, anything for the almighty dollar.
Yeah, but is it what? You know how the girls do hit the bell, like, and subscribe.
You gotta hit the notification bell, guys. That's why our viewership is so down, because none of you hit the bell.
Oh, we don't need to know about the bell, but Aubrey and the girls will know about the bell. So, yeah, definitely gotta get that pitch in there, right? Because we're on YouTube now, so that's kind of
remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay connected to updates.
I'm looking for the bell. I don't even see it.
Because it's on. Because it's ours.
Is it ours?
Yeah, it's because it's ours.
Anyways,
if I pulled it up, I'll show you that bell, bro.
Off subject. Back on subject. So, my wife brought up, if you guys didn't see, what is it? Hold on, Mark. The nothing against TBM on their brakes, okay? They do make a great option. We did confirm that the TCE two-piece rotor systems actually weigh less than the TBM brakes. So a lot of people didn't realize that, but that is true. And that's why Chris Mitchell switched from the TBMs back to, he had the TCEs, tried the TBM, but then confirmed and weighed that the two-piece rotor version of the TCE actually weighs less than the TBM. So for those that don't know, the TBMs do advertise the zero drag. You know, so it's one of those that what the purpose of that is for like the front runners is if you put it on and you spin it in the air, it just free spins kind of like a ceramic ball bearing in a turbo. Of course, I would reference that. So very similar to that.
Less rolling resistance is the idea. Less.
And one thing, less rolling resistance is improved. The other thing too, what?
So you can see.
I have the computer here.
Well, no, see, there's the bell.
Oh, there it is on that
Guys,
one. Okay.
see?
There's the bell.
You have to see that. You do that, and then you have to. Oh wait, you click the bell, and then you do all. You don't do personalized. You do all. And then he's a good boy and subscribe, but he's a bad boy because he didn't click that like.
So, anyways, so yes, with the TBM, the zero drag, awesome. But like I said, we switched back to the two-piece rotor. Something that's not talked about a lot, and it's just because of modern technology. Technically, there were some ABS issues that have been thrown out there from the zero drags that were actually causing wheels to lock up and things like that. I know they're working on it. It's not all of them, so I'm not saying it's a bad product and it's going to happen to you. Great product. It's just for the application, what we were doing, we were running into those issues. And, it's one of those that we, that's just why we landed where we're at. So they work. They are on the record. I have the single piece on mine, so that's another thing that we can do on the shop car to reduce even more rotating mass. What?
I just realized I gotta pay you for oil.
Oh, thanks. Thanks you for reminding me. So, so another thing that was brought up is the new Grand Wagoneer. So since we're on the hurricane subject and all that,
Grand Wagoneer Trackhawk when?
We'll see. For those that didn't see, Dodge made a.
No,
you gotta comment. You can't do that. It's the first YouTube live.
Get that helmet on.
I'm not putting the helmet on.
Get that helmet on.
So, Yeah, so something, if you didn't see from Dodge or Stellantis, they announced $13 billion that they're investing.
Sit down.
$13 billion that they're investing into the U.S. branding, which is outstanding for guys like us that love Dodge, right? So they are investing into the plants, and they little hints of things that are coming out. So the rumor mill's swaying that they're coming out with another Dodge SUV, kind of like a mid-size SUV, like the Ram Charger. There is the rumor that they're going to bring that back in regards to actual SUV.
They should bring back the Rampage.
A Rampage, that'd be a smart one.
Think about it. They got the Hyundai Santa Cruz, the Ford Maverick.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
The other rumor is that the new CEO is talking about he wants to see more horsepower. So with the Grand Wagoneer and the Wagoneer, they got rid of the Wagoneer name, dropped it down to Grand Wagoneer, and now the trims are based on like the Grand Cherokee. So the Upland, the Summit, the Limited.
There's
the
just
rumor,
no Trackhawk.
There's no Trackhawk, but the SRT division being back and Tim getting promoted again to all U.S. branding, and hearing the CEO say he wants more horsepower, the rumor mill now is saying that there might be a large size SUV to compete with the Cadillac Escalade V. So fingers crossed on that one. And yeah, that would be outstanding, right? Where we all miss the Trackhawk, and it'd be cool to have something to compete with Escalade. So
and a new body style for once.
Yep.
A Dodge fan gets a new body style after waiting 15 years.
Oh yeah, that was the other one, right? They said the Durango is going to be revised.
Yeah, it's coming out for 2029.
2029.
Yeah.
They also said that they did verify they are coming out with a mid-size pickup truck. So for like the Colorado and the Maverick, right, to compete with those. So
the Rampage, please, dear God, give me a Rampage.
that's a pretty cool name.
I know. Listen.
They're gonna bring back the Dakota just smaller.
Well, that's probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be 150 just like the Escalade. Possibly.
Well, so that was the other thing that he announced with the Grand Wagoneer is he wanted to bring the price back down on it. So with the revival of the 2026 Grand Wagoneer, they are under $100,000 even on the Summit Reserve. Don't ask how I know. But I wouldn't have one in order or anything. So the only downsides to the 26 to come out is they're basically using the 26 Grand Wagoneer as a test trial at the new plants. So it's only coming in the standard output version of the Hurricane. They got rid of the high output. After that, they're going to do their REEV version, which is the hybrid version that has the Pentastar V6 under the hood as a generator with electric motors. So those are the first two that they're going to be doing. He said there's a chance for the high output version to come back in the future. But right now, out of the gate, they're doing the standard output. And I think they're doing that to ride the coattail of being under $100,000 since they got up to like 120 on the last year.
They got up there.
Yeah. Oh, compared to the first year, too. So
now, with the Durango, with them saying that, hey, we have a new one coming out in 2029, are they going to do like what they've been doing with the Durangos? This is the last one. They're going to do like a last call, and then like 2030 is going to come out, and they're going to say, hey guys, we have the Durango Classic, and it's just the current Durango.
Yeah, the only
like
thing
the Ram Classic versus the 5th gen.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is if anybody's noticed a trend, the 1 years of anything Dodge are never 1 year.
No.
They said that with the Hellcats originally. They said it with the Demons, where they came out with the Red Eyes. They said
Dodge likes money.
The Durango. Now, mind you, a lot of those reasons were based on emission standards at the time, and then they were able to get around them in regards to tweaking settings, updating the CAT settings, the COT settings, and things like that. That was one of the reasons why, in their defense, it was because of the emission standards were rising faster than they could keep up. Now they're a little more laxed, so they're able to do it. But for example, the new Durango Hellcat 392, I think the Durango Hellcat isn't offered in 17 states, and the 392 is 7 states. So they're still competing with it, but they just basically said, forget it, we're just going to release it where we can. So
somehow Illinois is one of those states. What baffles me is like,
I'm telling you, if we turn into a carb state, we're gone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're out of here.
Yeah.
I can't.
We're going north of the border. We're going to Texas. We're going somewhere with.
I'm not going north. It would be south. I'm not moving anywhere colder.
We're going to Florida, guys.
No, we're not.
Book it now. You heard it here first. We're
sorry, that's not happening.
Officially.
No.
Okay. Damn.
We can open 2 locations, right?
Yeah.
Wait, where?
Who is the Borginator? Who is
Where
that?
are you?
Is that our friend from New Zealand? Maybe not. No, because he's 3.2 Durango.
240 for a
TRX. That
Where
sounds
is
like
that?
that sounds like Australia, New Zealand, because they be taxing hell.
That would make sense.
But
That would be
anyway,
crazy.
for the Borganator, do we find the need for a vacuum pump with our bigger cam boosted setups? Oklahoma and Texas. They want us to come to, listen, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be so for real with you, and no offense to anyone that lives there. I have never heard of anything ever happening in Oklahoma, especially the Panhandle. I've never heard of anything happening there. I haven't heard of like, hey, this guy is from there, or like,
Yeah.
I know one person from Oklahoma, and that's my only proof that that state actually exists.
Oh, that's Warren Borg. Okay, that makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Australia.
I said
Australia,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You gotta get a right-hand drive over there, though. So isn't that part of like the
conversion?
The conversion?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel so bad for
What?
Australian car guys with their current government that hates like
yeah.
burnouts and anything fun and modified. Because like when I think of Australia, I think of like every animal will kill you and then like immediately burnouts, and those are the two things I associate with Australia.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. They're really nice though.
Yeah, we gotta get you out there.
Literally,
Just think of all the snakes you
Dude,
can
I've
see.
always. You can ask Melissa. That's the only place that I'm like, I would probably get on a plane over water and go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. It's got everything. It did, right? Burnouts, cars, snakes.
Yeah.
I want to box a kangaroo. Remember
Yeah?
we talk about that?
Oh, dude.
I want to throw down with the kangaroo.
CJ, what's the biggest animal you could take on in a fight and win?
Why's it gotta be big?
Fist to fist.
When? Anyways.
I'm just saying.
See, facts. Told you.
Yeah.
Australia is the one place.
Facts.
That like I would probably get over my fear of flying over water like that.
Oklahoma City is the only really good place here. OG Street Outlaws is from OKC.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Texas would be my place though.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's bigger. Think about it.
Stay on the set. Anyways, back to the question that sparked all this.
Yes.
Vacuum pumps.
Yes.
We have installed them on some vehicles. We are going to test on our shop car as well, because I know other shops have thrown information out there about crankcase ventilation and the impact and benefit on performance. So naturally, if you have pressure on the back, so think about it this way: a piston going up and down, it's being pulled down by the other cylinders, right? The other pistons in the rotation of the crank. But now you're also fighting pressure in the crankcase as well. So as they're going down, you're fighting pressure in there. So on the shop car, we have it heavily vented by dual -10 vented catch cans.
Courtesy of Build Evolution.
And the valve covers, right?
And the
cab
valve
valve
covers.
covers, everything. Because the factory crankcase system is very restricted. So we don't have any oil vapors or anything. We don't have any oil on the catch cans after well over a dozen passes at the track. I have 70 dyno pulls on the car as well, I think.
70?
Yeah, I did a lot.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you did.
I was like I said,
okay.
I was changing timing by 1 degree at a time. I was changing fueling by 2% at a time for the same timing. So I just kept going. But right now, I really don't think we have an excess on crankcase pressure. But the theory behind it is that with a vacuum pump, there's two things that it can do. One, big cams lose vacuum at idle. So what helps you with your brakes is vacuum. So when you lack vacuum there, your brake pedal is not as responsive. You have to put a little more effort in it. Great for leg day, but bad if you're trying to stop all of a sudden. So
You should do when you race.
the benefits there. Now on turbo applications, which we have a couple turbo cars here, one of those, that's where the brake pedal is very beneficial as well for building boost, right? You want to be able to push that sucker down and spool those turbos. And then piggybacking, if you do route it into the crankcase system, you can vacuum assist the evacuation of the crankcase pressure. So we are going to test that on our shop car. And I was going to wait for the heads to come with the higher compression. I want to do it in stages. And I figured it's better to have kind of the end-all be-all result. Really, it's one of those, when it comes to horsepower, especially when you're pushing a max effort NA setup, 5 horsepower is 5 horsepower. So, but there is a math equation because vacuum pumps are not light. So what we're going to be doing is adding some weight over a corner, or we got to be strategic on where we mount it. So it
in the cabin.
Right next to me on the passenger floor, since there's nothing.
That we could do.
We could, right? But
we could go to the HVAC box. That's super easy.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could, but found it. Yep. So there's a couple ways in which it could benefit.
We're putting on.
Hold on, one at a time. I'm in the middle of it.
My bad. I got so excited, guys.
Did you have your coffee mix again?
Yeah, I did. And then I had another coffee.
That's the problem.
So no more.
We are going to test. We're going to theorize. We're going to see what it actually does so we can get our own version of the answer and see. But I wanted to do it more so. Like I said, I don't think if it was like 3 or 5 horsepower at our current setup, I don't think it's really going to be that beneficial with the weight that I would add on to it.
But if it's 15.
Yeah, so what heads are we putting on our shop car? We are doing... I've reached out to a ton of people, and honestly, it's first come, first serve at this point. I have my feelers out to like 3 or 4 different shops that produce heads. We are running Eagle 5.7 heads on our 392. Might not make sense since we all know the Apache head is superior in flow. But what we are doing is the 5.7 head will reduce our chamber size significantly. Smaller chamber size means a bump in compression. That being said, our request was to get enlarged valves put into our 5.7 heads so that way we can gain back the flow that we might lose by going to the 5.7 head. So that is what I have several places investigating and trying on. So I'm hopeful that I will have a set of heads show up at my door any day now. But we are going to valves larger than 392 valves to kind of compensate for the fact of our limitation there.
What do you think it's going to bump up power by?
I honestly think we'll gain 50 horse from it. I would like to see 40 to 50 horse by doing the compression bump theory of what we see on paper of what it should be. So,
I have a set of ported 392 heads for sale if anyone's interested.
So, yeah, that's what we're doing. Is Eagle 5.7 heads going on there. We have some testing to do there and after because I'm going to try to get the thinnest head gasket on there we can. The problem is because of the reduced chamber size, you have your 6.4 and then it's going down into a 5.7. The valves, part of the reason I have smaller valves is just geometry of the angle they go into of hitting the piston. So we are putting larger valves in, so there's a already higher risk of our piston smacking the valve. On top of it, I'm going to try to put a thinner head gasket in place. So, like I said last time in our video on the shop car, we are going to be playing with a lot of Play-Doh and going through a lot of head gaskets to test because we are going to greatly test our piston to valve tolerance slowly so I don't bend a valve, especially after spending all the money on getting some enlarged, nice, pretty valves put into place. So, we're doing... hollow valves for the intake side, stainless on the exhaust side. And again, in detail, we covered it more, but our shop car, the cam profile is not a very aggressive cam profile because we're optimizing the current setup in the situation. I didn't want to move the RPM range too high for peak horsepower where the power band is because I knew we were going to be doing this with the heads. Just to verify, I'm not going to be able, I really don't think we're going to be able to get the same flow or more flow out of the 5.7 heads like we have on our 392 heads. So I'm not going to be able to really take advantage of a cam profile that revs out to 75, 8,000 RPM. Hence why I don't run a high ram or why a high ram is not going to be beneficial because the cam profile does not shine in that given range of where that type of intake is beneficial.
So there's no reason to go there.
There's no reason to go there. So we are optimizing the stock components and power band as much as possible. Anybody can argue with me as much as they want, and until otherwise, and I will publicly state it, we are the fastest, so I'm going to stick with our research and our product line because nobody has gone faster than us, and we did it with the least amount of work.
Yeah.
So
less is more. It's a stock throttle body. It's a stock intake manifold.
Yeah.
Unported heads.
No, we have ported heads.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. We did port the heads on this one.
Yeah.
And that's where Chris Mitchell, like I said, he's going to run at the same times. He has stock heads. His are unported. So it just shows you that, we're able to duplicate this as a result with even less. But this, when I bought this engine, it had ported heads on it already. Let's run with it. Let's go. So, and that's our level 4 package there and they're out. But we did it with a unported 392 intake manifold. We did it with a stock unported throttle body. Everybody else that is even close to our times has way more than us. Now, I will say pretty confident that once we get these heads on there and I'm increasing the compression, essentially the amount of cylinder pressure that we're going to see, I think we are going to have to port these the intake manifold just to allow for the extra airflow that this increased compression is going to bring.
Are we going to do a ported throttle body or a physically bigger throttle body?
Porting a throttle body is useless because that means the blade is what determines everything, so porting everything around it does nothing, so we would have to go to a physical larger one. We're only going to take a jump to a Hellcat throttle body, and I'm going to port match the back of the intake for that as well.
But think garden hose. If you have a big opening, but then it necks down, which is your throttle blade, this is your biggest opening in theory.
Right.
So bigger is better. Porting doesn't do it.
Yeah, another one that, that I was using for other people is a funnel. So that gives you, instead of a garden hose, a funnel. If you put the smaller end and blow through it, only a certain amount of airflow is going to go out. It doesn't matter what happens on the opposite end of it. And then vice versa. If you try to blow into the bigger end where the porting would be, you're not delivering more airflow than what the smaller end will allow. So, but I'm pretty confident that, we're sitting, so that shop car made 536 to the wheels on a 95-degree day on my dyno. I haven't been able to get a successful dyno with it since the weather has dropped, but based on our ET and everything we're seeing, I'm pretty confident in saying, we are making about 545 to 550 wheel horsepower as it sits. And right now, that throttle body and intake manifold have not been a restriction. Now, that might change as the weather drops when the air gets more dense. So far, this car has only been tested in hot weather with the current setup. So it is possible if I get a 500, negative 500 degree DA day, that our current setup could be a restriction at that point because of the more dense air. But with, normal temperatures, 90, 70, 80, 90 degree weather, intake and throttle body are not a restriction. So keep that in mind. Now, what my goal is to run hopefully like a 1020 in this type of weather that we're in with the heads that we put on it. So more horsepower. To do that, you need more airflow. So what we're doing is we're squeezing it more. But there may be a opportunity because of the dome, or because of the increased compression, that during the suction phase it needs more air. I am not going to port it proactively. I'm going to try and do it without first to see, and then I'm going to actually have a ported one on the side so we can do back-to-back testing as well for this given setup. I have done it with our cam profile before. That's why I'm not doing it on this car, because I've done it probably more times than I can count. So people that don't think I've tested, and I'm just speaking because ours does it. One of the comments out there was like, how do you know if you haven't done it? I have.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, oh, why don't you throw a ported 392 manifold to pick up power? And I said, no, it won't. And their argument was, well, did you do it on that car? You're right, I haven't, but I've done it on others with this same
We've
combination.
done it on enough, and we've gotten the results, the similar results, the same amount of times. So it's like, okay, there's a pattern here. It's not like outliers.
I want to test it on something that we haven't done before, so that's why I'm waiting until to do that swap until we actually have the 5.7 heads with the bump compression. So I'm hopeful. My goal, and I told this to those with the heads, I'm hoping to get as close to 13-to-1 compression as possible. We'll see what type of limitations we have. That will all come down to the head gasket thickness I will have to run. So depending on the cam profile, I want to use this cam profile since this is what we have trialed and proven in my car and Chris's car and everybody else's car. So I don't want to change the cam profile. I will change the other mechanical pieces around it to see where we fall. It's not a super aggressive cam. Yes, it's on E85. Of course, it's on E85. That was another argument. I could put it on like an oxygenated race gas, right? Because for those that don't understand, an oxygenated race gas releases oxygen at the same time as being burned, which the goal is to get more oxygen in so I could add more fuel to make a bigger explosion, right? Yes, but at the same time, I want to keep my pistons alive. And it's one of those things that, like a MS-109 doesn't have any cooling factor behind it. So, I'm increasing my cylinder pressure at the same time because I'm introducing oxygen. Increased cylinder pressure increases heat.
And then we're decreasing the cooling effect of the fuel.
Right,
so
and that's one of the benefits of E85 or ethanol-based fuel is that it cools at the same time, which is part of the reason we can abuse the car in the fashion that we do. Because although I'm making more cylinder pressure and heat, the fuel counters that heat on the piston at that time to help cool it down every time the fuel enters that combustion chamber. So I'm going to stay with the E85 and especially with stock pistons in there.
Yep.
So something I might try. I think it's what C85, I believe it is one that says if you put it in, it adds a 4% increase in power. I may try that once we get to like our max effort, with the heads on it, and just to see for the dyno, I won't change anything but the time, the AFR to dial it in to see if that 4% is true or not. Because at that point we'll be at 580 wheels, so 4%, out of that would be pretty significant. I mean, that you're talking possibly 20 horsepower I could gain, 15, 20 horsepower by changing the fuel.
All day.
That'll be huge. But like I said, for the time being, I'm confident and comfortable with what I have. And before I really lean and push on it, I want to at least try to get, a couple passes in with what I know will work. So before I take any big risks with that stock bottom end, like I said, I have it's over 60, 70 dyno pulls, over a dozen track passes with multiple people driving. That motor has been through it. And she'd say that's the one fun perk of NA is you really don't have to worry in the same fashion like you do boosted.
Nice.
So
you just get it off the trailer and
And I don't care how much money you spend. There's always an anxiety on a 1,500 horsepower car. Is this going to be the one?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Even if you're not driving it, like we feel it in the pits. It's like there's a lot of stress there. And then this car, it's like everyone drive it. Let's have fun. And it's fun and it works.
Yeah. First there's the anxiety just from shop car. Like same thing with the TRX when we took it out the last time. It's like, oh man, I'm going to pump 24 pounds. Oh man, hopefully it holds on this one. And then the 392, it's just like, all right, do it again, hot lap it, have fun, keep going. It got faster the more we hot lap it.
I mean, again, I know we talked about it last time, but the pass we set the record on, he did a run, didn't even stop, just drove back around in the staging lanes, got back in and set the record. No cool down. Like it's so nice because it just works. It just works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I went again, it probably would have been faster too. So these NA setups, as long as it can keep their engines hot, the fluids hot, they go faster. It's keeping those IATs in check, right? So our the Build Evolution induction solution intake worked a charm, and that's why the hot lapping worked, because I got everything up to 10. My burnout in the second time, I really didn't need a burnout. I just had to clean the tires off because they were still sticky, and that's what allowed it. So I went from a 1.42 60 foot to a 1.40 with a baby burnout, and like I said, I probably could have even dropped another 10th, or 100th or so off if I went a third time. But I do like to give the transmission a little bit of a break, a little bit there. So the trans is one of the ones got to be a little more cautious of, and it was getting up there. So I think I might throw a 160 T-stat in the transmission side. That should allow us to be very happy for a lot more hot lapping. So, but
if anyone has a HP 70 for sale, let me know. I need one. Have you played with the Now Performance nitromethane solution? I've always wondered how it would go in my meth setup.
Yeah, so nitrometh, big in the Mustang and the GM world right now because of the compression that those motors run. Again, the reason why people ask me if I was going to plan on doing it with my setup is the low compression. It's not really beneficial right now.
No.
So that's one of those things. I understand the characteristics of it, but it's going to be a amplifier for compression. So boosted, that's some scary stuff, man. It does literally make explosions bigger. So it is a new beast in itself, I will say that much. So I personally haven't played with it because it's just my platforms, my applications don't see the same benefit as like the GM and the Ford stuff for the time being. So. But if I can't get to 12.5, 13-to-1 compression on this shop car, that's a different story, and that's a compression where I will do the testing at that time. So, but yeah, right now, not much of a experience with it. So, good question though.
Absolutely.
What you got for me question-wise?
How does traction control work on these Mopars? So, let's say I just did a level 1 or a level 2 on my Hellcat or something. Am I still able to use traction control?
Yeah.
And even if my car is stock, is traction control kicking in bad? Could it be bad?
Absolutely. So traction control, we don't have control of like the sensitivity of traction control or anything like that from a tuning standpoint. Can I enable, disable how traction control is altered? Yes. And the 3 ways that we can do it in Mopar is by throttle, by timing, and by fuel. So FSO or fuel shutoff. So those are the 3 ways that Dodge gives the ability to control traction control or stability control. We always turn off FSO. We disable fuel shut off because the last thing I want is for fuel to be shut off, especially during any type of traction issue, or because if you on a stock car, truly dialed in, not being pushed, you can bleed a little bit of fuel here and there and it'll be okay. But if you double the horsepower, the last thing you want is a slight lean condition to try and control your tires. Okay. Yeah. So the way it works is it basically will use those three things, but for us it's mainly spark and throttle to manipulate your wheel speed to pull power to bring it all online. There are two versions of traction control that people get confused sometimes. There is true traction control, and then there's stability control. So the difference is, from a reference, traction control is spinning your tires. So what they look for is the wheel speed of your front to rear wheels, tires, okay? So when the back spin faster than the front, bless you, that is traction control that will prevent that, okay? So you can disable traction control while leaving stability control on. So what does that mean? If you have a very aligned car and you do a brake standing burnout, right? You stand on it and all that happens is your back tires spin and you don't move and you stay straight, it'll be happy. What stability control is when the back end kicks out in any way. Now the way that it determines that is several ways. One, wheel speed. So they monitor all four wheels, in which if they see an oscillation between any of them that determine that, as an example, if you're turning, the outside speed of your wheels is different than the inside speed. So that's a way it can determine that the vehicle is changing direction. So if it senses that, it will kick in. Also, if you turn the steering wheel, it will kick in. So that's stability control, and sometimes can be confused because people will hit the traction control button and say, I turned it off, but it won't let me do a burnout. Well, sometimes when you do a burnout, the back end will kick out and stability control will kick in. So you have to make sure when doing a burnout, for off-road use only and purposes and for, safety reasons under guidance of a professional, you want stability control fully disabled. You can do a burnout with traction control disabled, but sometimes just based on moving the steering wheel or just slight oscillation of the rear end, it could kick in and cause the car to stall out. So it does take some practice, but that is how Dodge worked. From a tuning standpoint, I don't have the ability to adjust the sensitivity.
You can't make it less sensitive.
Right.
So especially when you start adding more power.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they freak out quicker. Yeah. It is also, I've noticed on some of the newer ones, an adaptive system still as well. So what that means when you hear me say adaptive is it learns. So what that means is that a given condition, so for example, it will say 30 miles an hour with 82% throttle at this certain temperature, it spun the tire. It can kind of be proactive and try to guess when those situations will happen. I had a Durango Hellcat that was racing going down the track, and traction control was going on down the track. It wasn't spinning the tire, but just based on those learned adaptives of the traction control, it was kicking in even though the tires weren't spinning. So
that one was in Oklahoma, so I do take back my previous statements. Something did happen in Oklahoma.
Something did happen in Oklahoma. So it's still a sophisticated system that we have limited control over in theory. So we still can use the items that tell it what to use, but beyond that, the sensitivity of it, I cannot touch that in any way, shape, or form. So yeah,
absolutely. Next one. MDS lifters with an aftermarket camshaft. Yes. Could you, should you?
So, could you? I mean, nobody's stopping you. I guess you can. Should you? No. And the reason why is that what fails in these, the reason people do cams a lot, and the reason why when we do a cam we remove them in the first place is the MDS lifters are not very reliable. Yes, any lifter can fail on the planet, and we understand that. But by design, the way that they're designed, you just want to get them out of there. So if we're going through the headache of pulling your heads off, or you're going through the headache of doing all that, put in proper higher end lifters, aka non-MDS lifters, and then just get rid of the MDS system entirely.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
At some point, they will go.
Yeah.
You might be unbelievably lucky, and you might get 280,000 miles out of it. And if you do, congratulations.
Yeah.
but most people don't. So it is a matter of time.
Yeah.
The non-MDS, the Hellcat lifters, whatever you want to call them, that is the proper way to do it to prevent that down the road failure. Right. Last thing you want to do is, you know, not even something cool. It's not even like, oh man, I blew it up because I was doing XYZ and I had fun with it. It just fails. It sucks.
Yeah.
Do it the right way first. Buy once, cry once, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Even doing like an aftermarket oil pump or like a Hellcat oil pump or something to give it more oil print, whatever you want to say, it does not get around the fact that the failure point is the design itself of the lifter.
Right.
That is it.
Yeah, and the fact is, you know, there's no positive to keeping it in place. And anybody,
the car sounds like doo-doo when it kicks in. It literally sounds like a fart. You lose power.
And you know, for example, our cams, we get rid of VVT as well, and these are all settings in place that kind of are built to work hand in hand with it.
Right.
So, so.
Do you try to keep VVT on with big cam or just disable? We lock them out.
Well, we lock them out. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Our cam profiles are more aggressive than a standard VVT cam, which is why we end up locking them out. So
all we do is a lock. We don't even do the limiters because it just doesn't make sense for a cam profile.
Yeah, but you know, based on how, again, that's one reason why we don't have super aggressive cam profiles. They're more aggressive than a VVT cam, but they're not crazy to the point of it's bringing the RPM very high. We really like to maximize the mid-range. That's why in majority of our cam setups, we actually still make more torque than we do horsepower because of how that's designed. So yeah, it's yeah, we do disable the VVT on our cam profiles. And it's not from we can't tune them, it's just what we're looking for out of the performance of ours. I want the slight aggression increase that we need for that. So, and the reality is on a very high horsepower engine, where you're also normally changing some things, especially built motors. This is something not considered is, you know, on, you know, the VVT system is purely derived off of oil pressure and the distribution of it through a solenoid. Well, a lot of built motors, per the manufacturer and who builds them, wants to run a thicker oil. Understand, who is that?
Jeremy's arms look bigger.
Oh, we're staying on YouTube. Yeah. We're staying on YouTube now. But not about self-conscious.
He screenshot that one, putting it above his computer every time he's down. He's like,
so it's something to consider is when we change and, you know, we're running thicker oils and things. That's going to kind of alter the reaction of what how quickly VVT can respond when you have a thicker oil of viscosity and things like that. So it's better just to kind of eliminate it in that sense, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why for what we do, that's what we do. So, but yes, I would not run. I would try to get rid of non-MDS lifters as quickly as possible for any type of true longevity. Yes. There are people that have gone 100, 150,000 miles on it. I totally get it, but the majority of them don't.
It's like those million-mile trucks. Like, yeah, there's a Tacoma that will go a million miles.
Right.
Does that mean that yours will?
Right. So,
maybe not. Following up on this one,
oh boy.
Let's say that you have more time and you know what to do with, and you just want to get rid of MDS.
What is that?
Ray. Could you pull your engine apart and slap in non-MDS lifters on your stock cam? Let's just say, you know, I have a 6.4 Ram. I don't care about performance. Lame. All you care about is reliability. Can I just pull my motor apart, throw in non-MDS lifters, and then just get a tune to disable it?
The cams are slightly different in regards to their grind. That's why a lot of people do put non-MDS cams in. In theory, technically, yes, you can. I just wouldn't recommend it.
If you're already in there, just do it. Come on.
You technically can, yes. That's a could you, yes, should you. You could. It's one of those. If you're in there, just do it right. You know what I mean? There are the small variations of the oiling on the cam, but that's near there. But it will still work technically. So, but yeah, just do it right the first time. I mean, if you're going to go through that effort and that work, just do it right. We had another question for traction control. Is it more aggressive in track or street? So technically, when you go into sport or track, it does desensitize it slightly. In sport, traction control is technically disabled, and if you can keep your tires straight, it will let you do a burnout in a straight line. So it does disable traction control, but stability control is 100% in place. Track, if you do that, so a lot of people get confused with track. It's not drag mode like that of in the 1320s and the Demons. It is a road course oriented type of setup.
Which is weird because they don't do any advertisements with road course usage of these cars.
But that's where the mindset of it is. So with track mode, what that means is you can get more aggressive and you can kind of break the tires loose a little bit turning, but it will kick in eventually. So it's not fully disabled via track mode. So you can do a burnout easier in track mode because it allows the back end to kick out a little bit. Something I used to do in quick situations where I forget is you can throw it in track mode, do your burnout, and then click over to sport or custom at that point. If you forget to do you hold the button down type thing. So it will allow you to do a nice smoky burnout as long as the back end doesn't kick out. Let's talk about the long press. Yes, you long press the tractional button for 10 to 15 seconds and it gets rid of everything. It is on the Hellcats in the modern, it is fully disabled. The older ones, it doesn't fully disable them. We understand. Sorry, Tulo.
What pro tip for you old poop box owners, I'm trying to keep monetization on. On a closed course under the supervision of trained professionals, if you pull your ABS fuse.
Yes, you can.
Just pull your ABS fuse. In the summer when I had my Sonic, when I put my summer tires on, I pulled my ABS fuse. But you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. That's why I said
no traction or ABS.
Closed course under the supervision of trained professionals, you have zero. You are driving a car from the 1960s, but with airbags.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you do in that you lose ABS and traction control. So keep that in mind.
But you can do sick burnouts and donuts and all sorts of hooligan activities.
Yeah. Eric, you want to know something funny? On my 1,500 wheel horsepower car that went 850s at 4,700 pounds, I could have gone faster, but I didn't want to push it with no cage. I left my traction in sport mode. So I didn't want to go into a wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
No. And guess where he didn't go? Into a wall.
Yeah.
It worked.
It did work. And I think that's part of the reason with my red eye when I shot a rod out and took out oil on the front and rear of my tires. I think that's part of the reason I didn't die is because I don't disable my traction oil completely at the track for that reason. So I do leave it in sport mode. No walls. I didn't even put in track
no
mode.
Walls.
Yes,
no walls, bro.
Walls. So for the burnout, turn it off. So the way I do mine, for anybody wondering, is I would put it into track mode for the burnout, and I fully disable the traction control, and then I have my custom mode set up. So after I do that, I just hit custom mode, and then we're good to go. So, still spins in a straight line, but it just doesn't, it helps you when you get squirrely. I'd rather abort a pass and try it again, which is what I told everybody that drove the shop car. That, if it got squirrely, don't be a hero. Let out and go again. You'll thank
he
me
literally
later,
said just that.
Yeah.
DSC shock controller, worth the money for better 60-foots? This fella always has to roll into the throttle, otherwise it spins.
So we had the DSC controller on our shop car. Loved it. Have it on customer cars. They love it. I don't know anybody. Well, I think it's Paul Rakowski. He's the only one. He has an issue where it loses the tune in it occasionally. That's the only issue I've seen.
But that's one.
That's
one.
An
outlier.
We've done it a lot. What I and I've tried on the, especially on our shop car, I've tried different settings on it because they are programmable. The ones they send, I have yet to improve upon. So I do highly recommend it. And what it did is it helped with consistency. You can see, I think we went to one track day with the shop car. If you go back through our YouTube videos, see how I did that? You can see that when I launched, it would kind of bounce going down the track a little bit. You could see every shift. After we did the DSC controller, that sucker squats perfectly, and that front end never dropped. You could not see where the shifts happen going down the track if you had the sound off. And that's kind of the issue we're facing with the shop car now, because it has Viking adjustable shocks coilovers. We would launch it, and the front would come down aggressively, and then you could literally see it bouncing for every shift.
Let me take it home for the weekend. I'll dial her in.
Sure. So Justin, I do highly recommend it. I have yet to see a negativity from it. It's improved consistency and overall results from it. It significantly does help. So I do strongly recommend for it to get it. So what mode? That depends on the track. So they send the settings with it with how it works out. Because I had a two-step, I didn't actually get to put it into the launch mode that they have. So mine is purely just based on their settings. But from track to sport to street, it determines how soft the weight transfer is. So track turns it more into a track style, like drag race suspension. It's very stiff. We ran it mainly in sport to get a little bit because we were still very heavy.
It's a street car. You want to be comfortable, man.
Yeah, we did it in sport and ours. A couple of the weight reduced cars, we do run them in track. And then I have some guys that use it for the street, that they go onto the street. So, yeah, we used it mainly for the suspension side in the sport mode because it allowed that weight transfer that we needed to help get it to hook and keep that front end lifted the way it was. So, big fan of it. I have yet to see any, like I said, negative feedback in regards to performance. We even tested the Trackhawk version of it as well. It was the first one put in a Trackhawk. It was was it stock motor then? Yeah, stock motor Maggie car at that time. And that was it, our track rental.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it significantly improved consistency. So I think it will be very beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm. Our boy Hellcat Hooligan says, I have a Durango Hellcat. What do we think about the tasers, like for the rear-wheel drive only mode and for the live line lock?
So the way those T cases work on the modern, so this is anything 2012 and newer all-wheel drive. The T cases are still engaged, so they have clutches inside of them. If you've never taken one apart, it's very much like a transmission. They have clutches that are in place, so even when you go to rear-wheel drive, those clutches are still engaged, and you will eventually burn out your T case. There's no way around it. It's just by design how they work. This is why when we dyno them, we have to disconnect the front drive shaft. So for anybody that asks why there's that charge for that, because we literally have to put them in the air and remove the front drive shaft. So you will destroy your T case very quickly.
It might not be the first burnout, but it will happen at some point.
And I'll tell you, I'm guilty of it. I will stand behind it. So the WK1 Jeeps, we used to be able to take the T case motor out and just disable ABS and leave the front drive shaft in and dyno them and rear wheel drive like crazy, right? So when they transitioned to the WK2, I know I'm not the only one, but I will man up to it. We did the same thing, and then until all of a sudden, a week after the dyno session, people's T cases were going out. So we learned quickly that there is no way to truly disconnect the front drive shaft, the T case from being engaged at all.
On the WK2s, you have to pop that drive shaft.
Yeah, anything, 2012 or newer, even though they're still 5 speeds, in the early WK2s, the T case is different, and you will destroy your T case. It is not designed to do that. It is not like a 4x4 pickup truck where you can fully disengage it.
No.
It is not in any way, shape, or form. Think about it this way. The style of those is very similar to the TRX, which is a Ram 1500 technically. They don't even have a 4x4 switch. They are all-time all-wheel drive for that reason.
The normal 1500s, you can.
Yep.
The TRX,
disconnect it. Yep. TRXs you can. 392 Wranglers,
same thing.
You cannot. They are 4-wheel drive all the time. You cannot disconnect
You can
them.
go high-low.
But you cannot. There's no way. Does it look cool? Absolutely. Will it live? No.
No.
So, if you're ready for a new T case, you want to do a show, go for it, but it will disappear on you quickly. So.
What about for the line lock feature?
Well, the line lock feature is for the burnouts. So, I guess you could use the line lock feature to try and help you with launching a little bit, I guess, right? To really lock those brakes out, but you're all-wheel drive. You really don't need assistance with it. So, good question. I know a lot of people, and people do it to get the show and be able to do it. If you want your T case to live, sorry.
Don't recommend it.
It's not going to work. No. Not going to work at all.
I haven't seen any more questions come through, and I'm fresh out.
Eric, so in regards to the option for it, all you're doing is stiffening up the travel. So if you have a very good, like a 15-inch conversion all the way around, weight reduced out of like the shop car, you can get away with keeping it stiff, right? A lot of these, a lot will find that if you don't have good track prep, the weight transfer does help to get that car to move easier. Normally we find when our bolt-on cars, all of the ones I've had, my most consistent 60-foots came from leaving suspension in street mode, and it helped keep it consistent. So it didn't matter how good the track prep was, I just left the suspension in street. So my modes were transmission in sport, traction in sport, and suspension in street. Steering wheel was auto, whatever, I don't care about that. So that's how I ran I've had 6 Hellcats. That's how I run them. My TRXs, I did the same thing, except I did Baja occasionally with that.
I put the steering in comfort.
Yeah.
For the shop car.
Yeah.
I
Oh
wanna be
yeah, you
comfortable,
gotta be
baby.
comfortable going on the track. Yeah, absolutely. So,
When are you joining the
But,
football
yeah.
team? We're on our live stream. Say hi to YouTube.
Oh shit.
yeah, you can say hi.
You can
Okay.
say hi.
Yeah.
Shout out your channel.
Yeah.
Say hi to your mom and pops if you want.
Yep.
Can I get you guys' opinion? A lower pulley sleeve for the extra 1.5, 2 psi. Will keep my warnings to no crank pinning and no tune thoughts.
Do we have a return?
Yeah, he'll take you out there. Yeah, he'll just meet you out. We're a business, guys.
Before I answer that question, Eric, the reason it does because you have the springs. Ideally, where were you for football? Ideally, yes. If you can do it in track, for a race standpoint, it is more ideal to have less suspension travel, so that way you can put the power to the ground. In some instances, it will be more difficult for some. So ideal is to get to that track. If you have track prep to do it, it will give you a better 60 foot. But sometimes with track prep not being there, the weight transfer is more beneficial.
You can come to our track rental where the prep's on point.
Yeah, and then run track all the time. That's that's what I did. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm just saying, come to our track.
Okay, so the question was in regards to the sleeves over the lower pulleys. So this is what you're doing there. Okay.
And this is a no tune question.
No tune. So this is a bone stock Hellcat powered vehicle and you're increasing boost. So the one thing I'm going to bring up in the beginning before we talk about what you're doing is cat over temp protection. You'll see it on the internet as COT or COT as we call it. What cat over temp protection is the measurement. It's an equation. There's not an actual sensor. This is literally an inferred guess at what the cat temperature is, okay? So what it does is if that temperature exceeds a threshold, it starts to add fuel in an attempt to bring the temperature down, okay? They do this for emissions reasons. It's to prolong the life of the cat and naturally making a lot of power, so it reduces torque as well, reducing overall emissions. So it's to reduce overall emissions and reduce the temperature of the cat to prolong the life. So dumping fuel has a lot of negative effects. It will reduce power, okay? So you want to, we just got a lot of visitors for like, you want to say hi?
You want to say hi to your mom and dad on YouTube? Come on over.
I mean, his dad's probably
You
here.
want to do some call outs about your truck?
So, not yet, it's not done.
Okay.
So with cat overtemp, it dumps fuel. So in hotter environments, it will do that. In colder environments, it can do it as well because you see more boost. So these are all math equations based on the amount of fuel that is needed and being delivered. And then it guesses based on that what the torque is, how much power is being dumped out. So, good one. Thank you, Street Car Performance. That's we'll piggyback off of that. So, with a sleeve pulley and no tune, what you're doing is adding 1.5 to 2 psi of boost, which stays within the thresholds of the stock map sensor. So, the vehicle will see the added boost, right? So then it's going to obviously know it needs to add more fuel. So what you just did is you are making more power, so you are going to hit cat over temp protection quicker. Okay, so when you first put it on, it's going to feel great. And then what happens over time is these adaptives learn under this given condition, when I see this much boost, when I see this much throttle, it's going to make this much power. It starts cooling the cats quicker. It starts hitting cat over temp quicker, so you start to actually lose performance quicker. Okay? So this is also why you see on the internet when people talk about, oh, it felt good at first and it gets worse. The response to it is disconnect your battery or reset your adaptives and it will feel better again. Or what they tell people to do is when you go to the racetrack and you're racing, disconnect your battery or reset your adaptives before you pass, because the car hasn't learned, it will lose those learned behaviors and give you the extra boost without hitting cat over temp as quickly. So this is one of those things where I understand it. Will you feel it? Yes, there will be moments that you feel it. It will, you know, you're going to get 30 to 40 horse from it easily when it's not in cat over temp. But you will hit cat over temp quicker and more aggressively. Now, great piggyback. Well, why don't you just remove the cats? Well, guess what you're doing there? Without tuning it. Mind you, this is all without tuning it. You're removing the cats. which again potentially is a performance increase because it's not fighting those cats anymore. And the cat over temp protection is all based on math equations based on the fueling demand of what's needed. So if you're increasing performance in any way, shape, or form, you're going to have cat overtime kicking quicker. So what happens if you remove the cats without a tune, you actually hit cat overtime quicker. So it actually has a negative impact, just like the sleeve pulleys, over a prolonged period of time. So these are the things that aren't thrown out there. Now,
if you're trying to go faster and increase performance and get better times without doing any kind of tuning, the only real thing you can do is rotating mass and weight reduction. That's it.
That is the one that will be consistent over and over again and allow you to, take the benefits all the time. Now, the newer the vehicle, the more aggressive this cat over temp setting is. Man, you should see the 23s.
It's aggressive,
you should see the 24s. Holy cow.
They said all of it.
Yeah, I can't, the 26 Hellcats that are going to be the Durango Hellcats.
They're going to be in cat over temp as soon as you turn the thing on.
You know what I mean? And this is all in the battle.
Yeah.
The 24, it's going to be super aggressive.
Yeah.
Man.
It's going to kill you immediately.
Yeah. So,
I want one, two. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
we'll get into that one.
So, good question, good information. And this is the other thing to consider as well. Cat over temp protection is not healthy for the engine. It's not good. They have to go with the EPA regulations over what's healthy for the engine. Okay.
It's like diesel exhaust fluid. It causes a lot of issues, but manufacturers are forced to do it because the EPA says do it or you can't sell them.
Yeah. Now,
their hands are tied.
This is not me just trying to sell a product to you, but with a cat or with a tune only, I can leave all of those components in place and still net you 40 to 60 horsepower worth of an improvement, and it's better for a long term.
And you don't have to put a pulley on or nothing.
Right. So I get it. That's detectable potentially for any type of warranty. The truth is, it's one of those of you're risking by modding in either direction. But would you rather have where you're putting something in place that could essentially cause it to dump fuel
and damage components
long term? I've seen fouled plugs after 2,000 miles. I'm not even kidding, especially on the newer ones. So again, things to consider from a performance standpoint of there are ways to get the performance you're looking for minimal gain, minimal changes versus something mechanical like that. So just keep that in mind. Good job. It's your phone. I'm like, what the heck?
I know.
So great questions that, you know what I mean? That's, and if I'm going to do a sleeve, the one I would do would be a Predator in my opinion. That's the one that if somebody really wants, that'd be the go-to for, but just something to consider, when going for those modifications. For to piggyback off of that, for long tubes.
I want long tubes. On my Ram 1500, it's a 2021. Will I need a tune if I put the O2 sensors back in? You're not putting them back in the same spot.
Yeah, so there's a couple things with that. So you change the location.
Sorry, I just got crazy high school drama going on.
So high school.
Oh, it's old. It's people that we used to know.
So when you long tube headers on any car, there's a system in place called transport delay. For those that don't know, this is something not talked about a lot, but very crucial especially on modern cars. What that is a math equation measurement based on how long it takes for the O2 reading to know that the change done by the O2 is being addressed. Meaning, if I ask for a 5% correction, the transport delay is 1 second, meaning after that correction happens, you should see it approximately about 1 second after.
It's what it thinks the travel time for the gases should be to get to that O2.
Yeah, so when you put long tubes on, it moves that O2 very far away from the heads. So you have to compensate for that. You have to compensate for the transport delay. That's just one of them. So this smooths out efficiency for the fueling. Okay, now on non-Hellcat powered vehicles, they don't have wide bands from the factory. No. So there's also two systems called open loop and closed loop. Closed loop is when it's monitoring all the sensors, using your O2 sensors to adjust fueling. So putting them back in, after a little bit driving, you are going to be hitting targeted AFR, that's fine. When you go wide open throttle, that is 100% pre-programmed, meaning that the change to the exhaust flow you just made is not compensated for in the tune. Yep. So when you go wide open throttle, it doesn't know that the exhaust is free flowing and technically you should make a little more power. more power, more free flowing means more oxygen is being consumed by the engine, which naturally you need more fuel. The only reason why a lot of people get away with it is, again, cat overtemp. That is in place on every car that's out there. It's not just a Dodge thing. That is every car. The Hyundai that we sent a record with last Friday has cat overtemp protection. My 2016 Dodge Caravan has cat overtemp protection. Naturally, it doesn't exceed those limits because of the power it's making nearly as often. But, again, all things considered, you could hit cat overtemp dumping fuel, and it kind of cushions the blow of the fact that you leaned it out a little bit. But to do it right, to do it safely, yes, you should get a tune. Anytime you change the true airflow or the exhaust flow, you should get a tune to compensate more so thereafter. The other piece of the puzzle that I explain to people, and people joke, and this is why I use this analogy. So, Tulo's my O2 sensor, okay?
Not a good one.
And I'm a lean condition. All right? So I'm a lean condition. Guess what? He's noticing it's lean, so what's he going to do? He's going to move away. So move away. So now...
Notice how I get in it first because I'm stupid?
So now I can't hit him, right? So your O2 compensating goes, oh, it's lean. All right? So now I can't hit Tulo. Guess what? That means it saw that episode. It means he got hit already. It's not proactive where it goes, oh, I think it's lean and I'm going to move. No, it has to wait to see that he's getting hit for it to move. So even on Hellcats, when people go, oh, you're fine if you put aftermarket injectors and a cam and this, you can go wide open throttle.
You're smoking.
Because the O2 sensors will adjust. You're right. After you put it through the ropes and the long terms kick in, it will be okay. But up until then, the short-term field trims mean it saw that lean condition. So keep that in mind, guys, that an O2 response means it got beat up already. And it saw that, so it's changing. So for those that say, oh, it's okay, the O2s will correct it. On a wideband car, like a Hellcat, if you're 1-2% within it, that's fine. But when people are saying, hey, let it go with 20-30%, understand it's getting beat up in the process, okay? So nobody report this to
HR. HR doesn't care, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think HR left. So.
Yeah. What do we think about doing catless mids or long tubes with a catback and a ported blower on pump gas? It depends on the pulley combo. Depends.
What do you think of doing catless mids or long tube headers on an exhaust and ported? So, for racing purposes, off-road use, when we're talking here, the cats on Hellcats are horsepower killers. I mean, they truly do. These things are massive. Bro, look at a TRX one. They're $4,000 each.
They're bigger than this. This isn't big.
That's not big. They're way bigger than that.
It looked bigger over there.
It did. That's what she said.
Okay. It's like this.
It's the same. Anyways.
No.
So they're huge. They're huge. So they do rob a lot of power, yes. So there is always going to be a benefit in regards from a performance standpoint. Okay. So what you're doing, especially on a Hellcat vehicle, is you're freeing up exhaust flow. Every car can benefit from some back pressure relief, but boosted cars especially. So, and Ryan, I know you're pulleyed, right? So you're already flowing a lot more air. So removing restriction in the exhaust is going to be extremely beneficial. One, what it does is it will drop your boost reading while gaining power at the same time. Now, how does that make sense? My boost drop, but I gain power. It's more efficient, so the temperatures drop. Part of the reason that temperatures go up is because the air is being compressed. Compressed air pressure creates more heat. So when you reduce the pressure and make it more efficient, temperatures drop, allowing it to be more efficient overall. So one of those of going to a catless mid pipe or long tube headers with high flow cat or catless mid, it removes that restriction in the exhaust and can be a compounding effect. This is why on our cam cars, so for example, that the Durango we did the other day that we showed, it was a level 1, basic normal 15-16 PSI pulley setup, right? We did our cam and long tube headers on it, got that sucker free flowing, and it made 820 wheel horsepower with not even 14 pounds of boost. So we made less than 2 pounds of boost less, and we pulleyed it more aggressive than we do our normal level 1. We did a 274 upper instead of a 286 upper, and it still made less boost than our normal level 1 package, but made about 40 horsepower more that just goes to show you the benefit of making especially a boosted application more efficient. So there is no negatives to doing that to your car, other than you will, be breaking the law and not meeting EPA and CARB standards. And
You're dirty. You're
won't pass
horrible. You
emissions.
disgust
So
me.
in your race car, absolutely. That's why our race car, which is only driven at the track, has that type of setup in place. So
All of my cars are race cars.
yeah.
Actually, the 300 isn't.
So Justin, on yours, as just kind of stated, kind of piggybacking off of that, gains from a cam. If you were to go with our cam setup, you would see roughly, I'd say, a 30 to 40 horsepower increase from where you're at. The downside for you, Justin, is that you have a 2.7 blower at that point. And the reason why I say that's a downside is because we just changed your pulley setup and made it the most aggressive pulley setup we recommend for a 2.7. So what I would tell you is if you were to do a cam on there, you would gain 30 to 40 horse at the same power level, but what it's going to do is drop your boost level. So at the same time, if you wanted to get back to the same boost level you're at right now, if you had a blower safe enough to do so, you would compound those gains, and that's one of the benefits of doing a cam on a setup like yours. But in theory, you could make 30 horsepower more, give or take, with a lot less boost from where you're at now. So that's one of those things that it's beneficial. And early on, people were like, oh, you don't need it, it's not that beneficial. But what we have learned over the years is you can make a little bit more. Yes, 30 horse doesn't sound like a lot more, but if I'm telling you you're going to knock 3 to 4 pounds of boost down from where you're at now, because you're sitting at what, 22, 23, I think almost 24 pounds of boost.
Yeah. We
could get that back down into the high teens, but still make 30 to 40 horsepower more. That in itself sounds amazing.
More horsepower, less heat. You have a sick
Right.
chop. I mean,
Right.
there are no downsides, man.
Right.
Other than
Exactly.
shipping, because you are kind of far.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, we can just send a rowboat. I got a jet ski, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll just send a jet ski.
That's a
With
far
Tilo.
drive.
Hey, you'll make it on the news.
I'm
that's
not
for
even
sure.
driving.
Yeah,
I'm boating.
yeah. Cam and turbos for Justin
Yeah.
because it's safer. Well, same thing with like turbos, like we talk about, right?
Yeah.
You throw turbos on at the same boost level, you gain 150, 200 horsepower because you lose parasitic loss. So, I can answer that, but yes, you can type it in. That's fine. Yes, we remote tune on a daily basis, and I know there's probably some people waiting for a remote tune right now for me because I think this YouTube Live thing is kind of a hit. I mean, this has been a really good, entertaining, and interactive one.
Quality. I can actually see details on stuff.
It's actually good. So we'll see what it looks like after the fact too.
It's gonna kill it. It's gonna be like 144.
Yeah, but Hellcat Hooligan, we remote tune, we dyno tune, we do both.
Yeah.
We combine both. If you want to remote tune first and then pay a visit and throw it on the dyno just to see, we have a lot of guys that do that too. So yeah, absolutely, man. It's not a problem at all. Shoot us a message afterwards. This guy will be talking to you and get you set up with whatever you need. So.
Do you reuse lifters on a cam change?
Well, hold on. First question.
Yes.
Bama boy.
Headers versus manifold, but with the manifold, no cats, mufflers, or resonators. So stock manifold, straight piped, or long tube headers.
Straight.
Straight pipe.
Yeah. So, not sure if you're asking about sound or performance. So this is
YouTube is 1,000 times better than Facebook. All right, sold.
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 All right. So, from headers to manifold. So Hellcat, if we're speaking 392 Hellcat, they from the factory are mid-length headers. If you actually look inside, they have runners and everything.
It's a very popular upgrade for 5.7 guys to jump to those just because of how much more efficient they are.
Yeah, so mid-length headers are great for low, mid-range, top end power. It's kind of an average throughout. So from a standpoint of that, they're very good. I mean, we've made 1,200 wheel horsepower plus out of stock exhaust manifolds on a nitrous setup. My Durango Hellcat. We had catless mids on that with a stock catback and made almost 1,200 wheel with nitrous. So they flow amazing. The stock manifolds are outstanding. Long tube headers, when you get to the really, really high horsepower applications, they do start to become beneficial. So any boosted application like a Hellcat, we throw 2-inch runners on, which are larger than the factory ones. So it is more free-flowing. Doing so will give you a deeper tone as well. So it's one of those... you'll get a deeper tone from a 2-inch header. Technically, a long tube header moves the reduction of restriction to the higher RPM range. So for Hellcats, that's beneficial because when you're on a big horsepower setup anyways, we're trying to pull power out of it down low to hook. So there is a benefit at that point. Power-wise, number-wise, I mean, you're talking minuscule. You're talking maybe 10, 20 horsepower at most. It's not like you're going to get 50, 60 horse out of it.
But sound and then weight.
Yeah, weight too.
Yeah.
I don't know because they're probably about the same.
I mean, the 5.7s for sure. Are
5.7s
heavier,
are
but
different. Yeah,
we have
from
to.
a
You know
Hellcat,
what?
we should weigh them, but
We got
we'll
a
weigh
new
it
set
up.
here.
Yeah, we have 392 manifolds and then long tubes here. We'll weigh them and actually see. I think the long tube is going to be more metal, and because
Are we weighing it with
What?
the mid pipe? Well, I mean, I
no,
guess,
just the header itself, right? Just because the mid pipes.
I think the long tube's gonna be at least a pound or two lighter.
I don't think so.
What do you guys think?
I don't know. We'll see.
Get your.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll ship someone a sticker if they get it right. Just kidding. No, I won't.
Justin W. For a cam change on a Hellcat, it's based on mileage and condition. So we go through them with a fine-tooth comb. If there's any signs of overwear or any scuffs or anything, we change them. The truth is on the Hellcats, most of them are still very low miles on it. We normally throw in 392 5.7 cars the 9MDS or Hellcat lifters into them because they are superior. So based on condition, we roll them, we test them, we make sure visual inspection, performance inspection. We don't always change them. It's up to you. If you want, they've gone up in price now, $600-700 give or take.
6-7.
Yeah. So if you want to spend that since you're going in, you can, but we do base it off of assessment. If you're a 100,000 mile type of car, a 50,000 mile car, I would change them. But a lot of the ones we do on the Hellcats are usually like I said, the Durango we did was literally like brand new. I think 12,000 miles on it. They look better than brand new. So, and they're proven at that point because sadly, we've been getting a lot of defective new ones out of the box. So it's one of those, if they're proven and they're working, as they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah, I would reuse yours. So I don't know, Justin, if you saw, but we had a string of, we had 3 cars in a row that had bad lifters
that in
out of the
Freedom
box.
units.
Yeah, so.
You got to put that into Freedom units, my man.
Yeah.
We don't know what those Ks mean.
Yeah. So
I think that's like 8,000 miles or something, or like 10,000 miles. It's some.
Yeah.
I think 10,000.
Yeah, Alan. With yours, it would be beneficial if you did a 2-inch long tube. Just because I know what boost you're making and what you're spinning that thing to. It reduced heat a ton too. It helps reduce heat soak. So it's kind of a compounding thing. So your peak, you might only gain 15-20 horse on the big end, but what it's going to do is keep it more consistent. And then as you're beating on it too, it's not constantly seeing the same type of boost level. It's going to drop a little bit. So I think it would be beneficial for you to throw a set of 2 inches on there. If you're going to keep cats on it, Cook's long tube headers with their 2-inch.
High output green cats.
Yeah, high output green cats, you will have to run that. They are great. They don't restrict as much as you think, and they will live.
It's going to be the only cat that's going to be living at that.
Yeah, everybody else
horsepower.
uses a standard high flow cat that's rated to like 300-400 horsepower each side.
Yeah. So an upper pulley injector car, you're over.
Yeah. So then for that, you can do Texas Speed. Texas Speed makes a great set of 2-inch long tube headers. And greatly priced. They fit well. Guys are awesome there. So they're going to be the lowest cost. They're 100% stainless. They are the lowest cost when it comes to just the header itself. So that would be a good option for you. We use Cook's Stainless Works, which is on the shop car, and Texas Speed. Texas Speed we use for boosted applications a lot because they're 2-inch. Cook's is for those that want the cat for that reason, for the street cars. All of those are great. Yeah, so you're good with any of those. So,
Hooligan says in the Midwest we got tons of E. So true.
Absolutely.
Thinking of when warranty is up, going with an upper pulley injectors, booster pump, and an E85 tune. Pros and cons. Well, the pros are we can actually do our censored flex fuel, so you can just pump E85 or 93 and off you go. The cons are you might get a few more tickets.
So that what you described is our level 1.5 package. It's an upper pulley. That we throw a fuel system. What car does he have?
Durango Hellcat.
So if you do if you do a simple upper pulley, so if you do our level 1.5, a 286 upper ID 1300s, you don't need a booster pump. You have 2 pumps from the factory, so you don't need to go. Normally, you don't need to go.
As long as they're healthy,
right.
they'll be fine at
Yeah.
what those mods are.
Yeah, so we've had some tired ones, 18 Trackhawks and stuff that have miles on them that needed them, but at the 1.5, normally you don't need a booster pump.
Especially with it being a 24.
Yeah, it's going to be fresh and healthy.
Yeah.
So 286 upper, ID 1300s. You can do our censored flex fuel, like Chulo was saying. We're the only ones that have the sensor, the ethanol sensor that feeds back into the factory PCM, and it adjusts everything on its own. So you can do that. Or if you want to save on cost, we install an ethanol gauge and just provide you multiple tunes. So yeah, flex is awesome. Took us a long time to get the system the way it is. So
you'll pick up about 120 to 160 on 93, and then about 40 to 60 over that on E85.
Yeah.
So it's a significant power bump. I mean, you're adding, an H2 motorcycle worth of horsepower with simple mods.
Yeah, so that's what we ran on my wife's Durango Hellcat before we set the record when they first came out. We started with a 1.5 package, went to our level 2 package, and then we sprayed a 200 shot on top of it. So, yeah. So
how do we
great.
tune for E remotely without the flex fuel? So what we do is we ask for you guys to report back your ethanol content. So it's 100% on you. So ideally, an ethanol content gauge, it makes it much easier. It takes a lot of the guesswork out, and they seem to be a little bit more accurate with that, but you can use a test tube.
Right.
But you have to report back. So it's, hey man, I just filled up, I got E75 in the tank. And then we take that information, start working with that when we build it, and then we continue. And then you might fill up again, and now it's 65. And then you let us know. That way we don't keep progressing thinking it's 75 and then working backwards. So it's you tell us, and then we tune accordingly.
Yeah, he nailed it on the head. So we do offer an E85 kit for the Hellcats where we can send you the hardware you need for an ethanol gauge, all of the fittings and everything to connect it to the factory crossover behind the blower.
Yeah.
And then what I do from a tuning standpoint is I provide a pump gas tune, which is usually good for E20 and under, an E70 tune, which is from 65 to 75%, and then a E85 tune, which is 76% and above. So during the tuning process, we work on the tunes, and I just say, what's the ethanol content? You tell me, and we perfect those tunes in that area. So that's what basically how we do it there. So it relies on you to tell me what fuel is in the tank at that given moment.
Yeah.
Our flex fuel system, it reports back in the data log so I can verify. But when it comes to remote tuning, if I can't see it, I simply ask the question and you tell me.
Yeah.
So that's why we are big fans of the ethanol gauge, and we have that set up so we can provide that for if you want to make the switch. But yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. And the truth is, if your ethanol is consistent in your area, it's very easy. Now with the remote tuning being done via the phone app, it's super convenient because you don't need anything but your dongle in your phone, and you can flash tunes. It's super quick. So very convenient and very easy to do. So it does save for those that are savvy enough and comfortable enough to flash tunes, which I know you are. So it's a great option for you. So
there are two. First one is, how does the trans T-case hold up with that level 1.5 package?
Yeah.
Loves it.
Yeah, so the 1.5 is totally fine.
It is like the ideal daily driver setup because you pick up a ton of horsepower and you pretty much lose no reliability. It is the same. It drives pretty much the same. You're not really going to notice, oh man, it's harsh or anything. Yeah. It just makes a whole lot more power when you step on it.
Yeah, it's super reliable. The experience we have and the tuning capabilities we have now, we keep those things alive for a very long time. And to give you an example, the Demon 170 makes roughly, the 1,000 plus to the crank and 930 to the wheel on E85, and that has a standard warranty on it. That's an HP90 transmission. You have in your Durango Hellcat an HP95, which is actually stronger than the transmission that's in a Demon 170. And
Chill live, brother.
Yes, it weighs more, but the reality is you'll be at low to mid 800s to the wheels at that point. They live a very long life. The only time the T-case might suffer is if you have really crappy tires in the back and you spin the tires too much. The back tires spin first before the fronts catch up. Over time, that could eat a T-case, right, Brandon Siebert, if you're in here?
Ooh, called out.
He knows,
he's not, because he would have commented.
But he's making, 950 wheels, so that's a little different. But yeah, at that mid 800s, it's very happy and lives a very long life. So you shouldn't be concerned at all.
Is the car faster on flex fuel or on the 76 and up tune?
So this is we're going to have to wrap this up soon, so this will be the last question. Keep
It's
questions going.
2:13.
Yeah, we really went by. So this will be my last question, and honestly, what we'll do probably next week, Ryan, is we'll dive deeper into our flex fuel again. It's been a long time, and since we're going back to YouTube, it'd be a good one to kind of get back up there. So I hear all the time, oh, a pure E85 tune is going to make more power than a flex fuel tune. Okay, and my question is why? The fact of the matter is an E85 tune is supposed to be designed for E85 to be in the tank. So if you have E85 in the tank, meaning 85% ethanol, guess what? A flex fuel tune is going to have a tune for E85 in the tank. So, that's one of those things of my, E76 tune will make the same power as so let's say you had E78 in it and you're running the E76 tune, which is the E85 tune. If you have E78 in the tank and you had flex fuel, it's going to be the same.
Yep.
So, yes, if you have an E85 tune, but you're running E65, right? Yes, on a flex fuel tune, it's going to I pull a little power out of it when you're at 65% ethanol. Why? Because you shouldn't run an E85 tune if you have 65% ethanol. So
it's different fueling.
It's different fueling, different timing. So it's one of those that the argument that a straight E85 tune is going to be more aggressive is not true.
It's kind of like that. Oh, a dyno tune's better than a street tune, man.
No, it's very different.
Nah.
But no, like I said, you think about it. Our tunes are set up so that if you have E85 in the tank, actual 85%, it's going to give you E85 tuning, just like a E85 tune directed to E85 is going to give you E85 tuning. It's no different.
As long as it's set up right,
it's just progressionary, and you only have one tune. So meaning you don't have to flash the tune; it does it all on its own. You don't have to worry. You don't have to check. You don't have to be conscious.
Especially if multiple people might borrow your vehicle, like if your dad likes taking it or your wife or something, and they don't understand the tuning, or you don't trust that they're going to remember to do it.
Yeah.
The flex fuel is super easy because it's like just fill it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So and last question for the fluctuation, it's location based. So around our parts. Generally, the Mobile BP and Shell, they don't have very good E85. The Speedway Marathon, Road Ranger, those have better, but it varies by area. So when you start being aware of E85, you're going to know what's good, what's not. This is also a savior of an ethanol content sensor. I've had people show me they tested a test tube for ethanol and thought it was E85, and they put it in their tank, and the ethanol gauge read 0, because those test tubes are flawed in what they do, where an ethanol gauge purely reads ethanol. So our ethanol gauge, our flex fuel system has saved a lot of cars in that sense as well, which is why we love it, because we prefer reliability over power any day. And
even the same station can fluctuate. I can go to our local speedway and get E72 one day, and then 3 weeks later it might be 75. What I mean? It can change because they don't have a set supplier that tests and they say, okay, this is 70, we can sell this. It's just it has to be in Illinois. It's what, between 55 to 83%.
Yeah,
it has to be within those. As long as it's within 55 to 83%, they can sell it.
Right.
So there's a wide range. So if it's in those numbers, they're shipping it.
Right.
It tests. The government says okay, they're sending it. So
yeah. So. Well, I think YouTube is it.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see the response from everybody else that might have missed it and come later. This has been great.
Wait,
what?
You got to finish it with a certain reminder.
What?
I'll do it. You got.
You did. Yeah. So, if you have any more questions, just reach out to us on our Facebook page. We'll be able to get back to you there quicker.
Hooligans, give me a message. We can get you that quote for a 1.5.
Yeah.
Just blow the warranty.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe.
Remember to hit that like, subscribe, and click that bell notification. All notifications, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Out. How do you turn it
off? Oh, yeah. I forgot we have to do that.
How do you turn it off?
Is it? Bye.
Bye.